Here are some of the latest network nitwits.
And he says, if I'm elected president, I will push for a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on all members of Congress. Correct me, there already are term limits, so what does he mean?
And what are we hearing in the background? Is that shelling?
No, Katie, you're actually hearing that from here in Jerusalem, and it's actually fireworks going off right behind me.
We're in our tribes, we're in our corners most of our lives. I think we just heard some gunshots. Should we listen to that for a second? Control room? Is that not gunshots? Okay.
Ivanka is not the second lady. She is actually, I don't think she deserves this position. She's actually a senior advisor to the president. So the idea that he would demean her specifically in that way, he shouldn't talk about
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
And that's when we heard the words of the President of the United States that stunned the world and shocked the conscience of this nation. He said there were, quote, some very fine people on both sides. Very fine people on both sides?
Wow. On that uplifting note.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
There have to be consequences for people who rejected asylum seekers who will lawfully trying to present themselves at our international ports of entry with not a penny to their name, fearing for their lives and the lives of their kids. If you come here, petition for asylum, which affords you no guarantee that that petition will be accepted, that you will be able to stay here, but that you at least be allowed to follow that process here on U.S. soil. That's the law, at least as I understand it. I want to make sure that it is followed, and those who defy it are held accountable.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Then measure the values that a country has by how it treats its mamas and its babies. We have failed our mamas, we have failed our babies.
Unchained and unstoppable.
They were playing footsie with the Russians, and that's it, working with the Russians. They were taking advantage of all the Russian effort to destroy our democracy, and Trump doesn't even get the asterisk. All the time he was guilty, and I'm telling you, a president who broke his oath. Putin, Russians.
You're in stage 2, denial.
Who do you love? Howie Carr.
So you're no longer maintaining that he is effectively a, quote, Russian asset?
No, I think he acts on Russia's behalf, and I challenge him to show me otherwise.
We are at war right now. It is a cyber war. Unfortunately, because our commander-in-chief is compromised, the federal government is asleep at the switch.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
So you just heard Elizabeth Warren, the fake Indian, say you can judge a country by how it treats its mamas and its babies. Can you judge a country as well on how it treats its papas and its adolescents? Breaking news on the Democrat presidential field. Joe Biden has been endorsed by the erstwhile would-be candidate, now indicted on 2 coasts, Michael Avenatti, has endorsed Joe Biden. This should put him over the top. What a
this is so incredibly significant.
Yes, I know. It's very big news. 844-500-4242. We'll be talking more this hour about the indictment of a state court judge here in Massachusetts today by the feds for obstruction of justice and perjury, letting an illegal alien, twice deported Dominican heroin dealer, drunk driver go out of the courthouse, stopping ICE from picking him up, even though they had a detainer on him. It's a great day in justice in the United States. That I don't know how much of a precedent this is going to set, but it's good that finally somebody in these sanctuary cities who's enabling these illegal alien criminals to keep committing crimes has been at least begun to be brought to justice. Right now, it's time for the Chump Line.
Hey, Howie, that judge should plead insanity. Liberalism is a mental disorder.
You know who should plead insanity is the alleged Republican governor of Massachusetts who appointed her. She worked for hack Democrats or much of her career, and she was a member of the Democrat State Committee. I mean, what did he think she was going to do when she had an opportunity to cut an alleged American heroin dealer drunk driver loose in the courtroom?
Hey, Howie, Judge Walker should just use the Kennedy excuse. She must have gotten a bad Ice Cube.
I think he means Judge Joseph, but that's close enough. Yeah, I don't think she has that excuse. The Chump Line is brought to you today by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer, who this week is remembering the 244th anniversary of the battles of Lexington and Concord, when average citizens risked everything to fight for the freedom and liberties we now take for granted today, something we should never lose sight of.
I feel good about that, Judge, but I'll feel better when they get called the ball junior in front of a judge, answering questions.
He's referring to Governor Baker's son, who basically had a groping case on a commercial flight from D.C. to Boston, broomed by the feds, although they won't officially announce that they broomed the case. It does certainly appear that that's what's happened.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive. Right, Judge Joseph?
I just thought of what Judge Joseph should say in her defense. I ask for no special treatment here in this U.S. District courtroom, Your Honor. I'm merely asked to be treated like the governor's son, Gropey Baker.
When reached for comment this afternoon, Governor Moonbat said he was extremely disappointed in the Justice Department.
He actually said he supports the suspension of the judge without pay, but he declined to come on the show and discuss why he appointed her. I asked him to join us on the show. You know, they say they have nationwide searches, and they have this thing called the Judicial Nominating Commission to pick these judges, and they picked this judge that hadn't been on the bench for 6 months when she cuts this illegal alien, alleged heroin dealer, drunk driver free, even though ICE wanted to throw him out of the country. He'd already been deported twice, been in the country for at least 15 years, claimed he didn't speak English. What a credit. Kind of person, he was a real valedictorian, as Jeb Bush would say.
Today, Judge Joseph. Tomorrow, Rod Rosenstein.
I would settle for just removing some of these other judges from the bench, like the other judge in Newton who cut the Dominican gangbanger rapist loose, reduced his bail, and he got out of town. Or Judge Feely up in Essex County who refused to sentence an illegal alien fentanyl dealer to prison because he said he'd be deported. Gave him probation. A heroin dealer gets probation because he would have been deported. If he'd been an American, he would have ended up in prison. This is what's got to be ended, this dual system of justice.
Hi, Howie. Governor Patrick calling. You know, I actually agree with you. Criminals should not be allowed to vote. Someone who steals library books or a low-digit license plate or a table from Lechmere belongs in a prison cell, not a voting booth. We're going to be fine.
I only confess to those minor indiscretions because the statute of limitations has long since expired.
Oh, Howie, come on. You don't like a nice tube steak once in a while?
No, I just don't like hot dogs. Hot dogs don't have much taste.
Are you kidding me? Hot dogs are incredibly flavorful. They're almost too salty.
Almost every time hot dogs are on the grill, there's a hamburger or a sausage beside them. And
yeah, because you eat both. Hamburgers and hot dogs, they go together.
Not for me. I'll take 2 hamburgers. And you can give Gooner. I'm going to chop up the hot dog for you.
Thanks, de Blasio. There goes Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
He doesn't care. If he doesn't care about skyscrapers and he doesn't care about having Amazon in the city, what the hell does he care about Nathan's hot dog eating contest? That's one day a year.
There go the...
Huh. I guess it is illegal to be illegal in Massachusetts.
Well, I think the illegal alien alleged heroin dealer is still walking around, but the judge, it's illegal for a legal judge to cut an illegal loose. I guess that would be more precise, I think.
There go the judge. There go the judge.
Jay from Chelsea texted in. He wants to know if the judge is going to be allowed to vote when she's in prison.
I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair. I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair and tell Joe to get away.
Yeah, well, the women of America have a few more days of safety because Joe's not going to be out on the campaign trail until Monday. Today he's trying to raise money. He's told his donors that he needs to raise big money like Bernie Sanders and Beto O'Rourke did on their first day.
When he announced he was running for president, dry shampoo stock, it just increased so much. Everyone's buying it.
Is Grace going to Pittsburgh to cover his first day on the campaign trail for us?
You going to send her?
I don't know. Let me think about it.
Hey, don't forget plugs. 3 strikes and you're out, pal.
A lot of people have run for president 3 times, but usually it doesn't work out. The only one I can think it ever worked out for was Ronald Reagan. He ran in 68, and then he ran in 76, and then he ran in 80 and was elected. But didn't work out too well for, I don't know, Harold Stassen, William Jennings Bryan, Lyndon LaRouche, Adlai Stevenson.
How many times did Ron Paul run?
I think he ran twice, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
Might be a little late, Howie, but my nominee for the Profiles and Courage Award, Andrew Lelling.
He has about as much chance of winning as I do. That's the U.S. Attorney in Boston. First, he's had a really big month. He indicted everybody in the Varsity Blues college admission scandal, and now he's the first U.S. Attorney in the country, 98 districts, to indict a judge in a sanctuary jurisdiction for coddling an illegal alien, illegally coddling an illegal alien criminal.
Oh, I wish I were a sausage, not a wiener. That is what I truly want to be. But because I'm not a sausage but a wiener, I will now be banned from NYC.
This is just a continuation of de Blasio's Meatless Mondays program, and as people have suggested, given what's happening in New York City, wouldn't it be more beneficial to Gotham if he set up a murderless Monday rather than a meatless Monday?
That was your last chump line message. Thank you for calling Howie Carr, you chump.
All right, that's it for the Chump Line today. The Chump Line is the recorded voicemail message service of the Howie Carr Show. You can call and leave a message at any hour of the day or night, including weekends. The Chump Line number, if you'd like to leave such a message, 844-500-4242. That's 844-500-4242. Press 2 for the Chump Line. Leave your message. We may or may not play it at this time each weekday. The Chump Line is brought to you by Matthews Brothers, America's oldest window manufacturer, who this week is remembering the 244th anniversary of the battles of Lexington and Concord, when average citizens risked everything to fight for freedom and liberty that we now take for granted today. That's something we should never lose sight of.
Huh. I guess it is illegal to be illegal in Massachusetts.
Kind of, but not totally. If you haven't tried the incredible high-quality meat from Butcher Box, you're going to be blown away. They don't include any hot dogs in their delivery. They just include the top-of-the-line beef, meat, pork, chicken, and fish that is fished in Alaska. Salmon. Butcher Box delivers 100% grass-fed and grass-finished beef, free-range organic chicken, and heritage-bred pork right to your door. And this is the best sausage you're ever going to have, too, and not to mention bacon. They work closely with the best farms and companies committed to raising animals humanely. This ensures not only an ethical process, but also one that results in a better quality, better tasting, more nutrient-dense meat with no added hormones or antibiotics ever. From grass-fed beef to free-range organic chicken to the wild-caught sockeye salmon from Bristol Bay, Alaska that I was just mentioning, Butcher Box has over 20 different cuts of meat to choose from with customizable boxes and a variety of other options to choose from. You can pick any kind of meat you want. except maybe for hot dogs, because they have only the highest quality meats here. And let's face it, hot dogs aren't the highest quality. Butcher Box
I'll be making this recommendation the next time Butcher Box comes in.
And they're going to look askance at you. And Butcher Box comes at an affordable price. With free shipping, you can get a month's worth of the best tasting meat from Butcher Box, not including hot dogs, for less than $6 per meal. Butcher Box is offering my listeners the ultimate breakfast bundle: 2 packs of the best tasting bacon you've ever had and 2 pounds of their custom breakfast sausage, plus $20 off your first box when you sign up at butcherbox.com/Howie. That's butcherbox.com/Howie. We'll be right back. I'm Howie Carr.
The captain will be back after this.
This half hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you by Orion Metal Exchange. Protect your investments with gold and silver today with the experts I trust at Orion Metal Exchange. Go to OrionMetalExchange.com, OrionMetalExchange.com.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Can you remember any time in your life when you were starstruck?
One time I saw Peter Vesey, the NBA columnist for the New York Post. He was in the Herald sports department. I really liked his column, so I went up and introduced myself to him. Then one time there was Cousin Brucey from WABC, and I used to listen to him driving back and forth between Chapel Hill and Deerfield when I was in college. Everybody on the East Coast listened to him. I couldn't believe that I was in the presence of Cousin Brucey.
Do you ever play bridge anymore?
No, I haven't played bridge in a very long time. Nobody I know plays bridge. I think my bridge days are behind me.
Do you think you'd still be good at it?
I'm not a great bidder, but I know how to count cards. That, to me, is the essence of playing a hand of bridge, is to be able to count cards.
What is a rhino?
Rhino is a Republican in name only. Think Paul Ryan. Think Mitt Romney. Think Jeff Flake.
Hello, America. Incredibly bad Christopher Walken impersonator here. Before, Neil Armstrong planted the Stars and Stripes on the Sea of Tranquility. Before, our greatest generation rescued freedom in World War II. Before, the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression. Before, we sent our doughboys over there in the war to end all wars. Before, the first musket ball flew in the Civil War, the brothers Matthews were making windows in Belfast, Maine. Over the past 165 years, my friends at Matthews Brothers have seen some wacky stuff come out of Washington. They always say, "Who cares? We're here to make wicked awesome windows." I guess after a while, you kind of get used to it. As the boys used to say at the Lincoln Douglas debates, "Welcome to the monkey house." You can learn more about their wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumberyards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
Bernie Sanders is officially in the race for 2020. Let's look back at some of the septuagenarian's greatest hits.
Should we give tax breaks to billionaires, which is what Trump wants, or demand that the wealthy and large corporations start paying their fair share of taxes? Blah, 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 blah.
You know, it's funny, sometimes American journalists talk about how bad a country is because people are lining up for food. That's a good thing. In other countries, people don't line up for food. The rich get the food and the poor starve to death.
We understand your wife has hired a lawyer to represent her in a possible probe into a land deal that fell apart. This was back when she was president of Burlington College.
No, it was not when she was. Let me say a word on that. You know.
Yeah. Well, I just want to ask you: do you know she's under FBI investigation?
Excuse me. My wife is about the most honest person I know.
At the end of the day, you don't necessarily need a choice of 23 underarm spray deodorants or 18 different pairs of sneakers.
People should not be dying in the United States of America when they are sick.
We will raise taxes.
Every weekday at 4:30, the eyes of the nation turn to Grace for the news. You can watch her live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, even if she's still missing that little blue check mark.
844-500-4242. We're going to get back to talking about the arrest, the indictment of the Massachusetts state judge today for allowing an illegal alien who was arrested on drug charges and had been deported twice from the U.S. and was also wanted on a fugitive warrant from Pennsylvania for drunk driving. She let him out the back door after turning off the tape recorder that she was required under Massachusetts court rules to keep going. and she banned an ICE officer, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, from the courtroom. I mean, it's outrageous enough that she would ban a police officer. The guy's an American citizen. A courtroom is a public area. Anybody is, unless you're a witness, you're allowed into the courtroom. And she banned this guy because he wanted to pick up an illegal alien, a dangerous criminal. And I consider a drunk driver a dangerous criminal, especially one who's riding around in his car with cocaine and pills. You know, that guy's a menace. Anyway, before we get back to the question of the judge, we're going to do the poll question for the ultimate breakfast bundle. Sign up today at butcherbox.com/Howie and get 2 packs of delicious bacon and 2 pounds of custom breakfast sausage plus $20 off your first box. butcherbox.com/Howie. Steve, what's the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Do you like hot dogs?
No, I don't. I like ButcherBox, but I don't like hot dogs.
Yeah, 9% are snobs with bad taste buds like you, Howie. They say no, they do not like hot dogs.
What can I say? It's not only Joe Biden that's having a bad day today. A lot of Democrats are having a bad day. Like you take the governor of Illinois, Jay Pritzker. There's apparently a federal investigation of the fact that he was trying to avoid taxes. The guy is a billionaire. He comes from the Hyatt Hotel fortune. His sister was the Secretary of Commerce under Obama. She's worth about $2 or $3 billion. He's worth even more probably. But Jay Pritzker, he had a mansion, and he didn't want to pay the higher property taxes on the mansion. So he wasn't living in the mansion. So he had the bathrooms ripped out so he could go to City Hall or wherever, the county, wherever he was, wherever the property was, and claimed that the mansion was uninhabitable. And he saved $331,000 on his tax bill. And the guy's a billionaire. It's like you or me worrying about $10. But he saved $331,000. So this news comes up. It came up during the campaign when he was running against Bruce Rauner, the Republican, who was only a mere multimillionaire. He ousted him last November. And now it's back in the news again as Pritzker is trying to increase taxes in various ways in Springfield, the state capital, on middle-class Americans, taxpayers, citizens, while he saved himself $331,000 by ripping out all the bathrooms of his mansion. Meanwhile, the news is even worse for Baltimore Mayor Catherine Pugh, who we've been talking about off and on for weeks. She's the one who set up the scam of writing these so-called children's books, some of which were only 20 pages long, replete with grammatical errors, capitalization errors. But hey,
the kids aren't going to notice. Let's be honest.
Well, the kids aren't going to notice because they're never going to see the books because they're never going to be put anywhere. But she used to be the boss of the Maryland State Senate, and she was on all these boards, and she would always, all the agencies that she was on the board of or had to have their budgets approved by the Senate would all be buying all these books. And so then when she was elected mayor, it got to be an even better grift. So the FBI and the IRS raided her offices today. They raided City Hall, her homes, her aides' homes. She was there when they raided them, but now she's disappeared. She's gone on the lam. As Sonny Mercurio always used to say, I advocate the lamb. I'm Howie Carr.
April is here and it's time for vacations. But what about a Bankscation? At Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC, we're making every day in April relaxing with great deals that will take you away. Look for the beach ball tags for special savings. Go see over 2,000 new and pre-owned vehicles in stock, all in one convenient location. You'd have to test drive over 70 different cars and trucks every day just to see them all. At Banks & Concord, shopping for a vehicle is as relaxing as a day at the beach. You'll find the lowest, most transparent pricing and a friendly, no-pressure staff. Right now, GM truck lessees can get up to $16,000 off all 2018 Denali's in stock with 0% financing for up to 84 months while supplies last. Must finance with GM Financial. See more April Bankscations offers online at banksautos.com. Our full-service internet department can help you take care of the details before you even walk through the door. Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC in Concord, New Hampshire. Real prices, huge inventory, always in stock. GMC, we are professional grade.
The United States will withdraw from the Paris climb into court. We are all going to die.
And we all joke about him destroying the world, but this could be it.
That means record heat, more drought in some places.
We could see the seas continue to rise. And
their kids will have worse asthma,
torrential rains and floods in other places.
So we could see flooding in major cities.
They will have a harder time having economic growth.
Sea level rising, drowning coastal areas.
Deadlier heat waves would be more abundant.
With droughts and floods.
Coal sludge back into rivers and lakes.
We'd see droughts, wildfires.
How tens of thousands of people die annually.
Mass extinction in the natural world.
This was a fault on the part of Donald Trump against humanity.
Sea level rise is happening. That's a scientific fact.
And this man is wrecking the planet.
Low-lying countries such as the Marshall Islands would disappear entirely.
The world will be a mess.
Donald Trump may have doomed the planet.
Hello, America. Incredibly bad Christopher Walken impersonator here. Over the past 165 years, my friends at Matthews Brothers have seen some incredibly baffling ideas come out of our nation's capital. Did you know that the government owns the rain? Or that it's a federal crime to sell ham turkey, but not turkey ham? It's also against the law for Farmer John to sell raw milk. Matthews Brothers has built a reputation for solving window problems with products that are affordable, practical, and realistic. 3 words that are obviously not in the federal lexicon. We can be thankful that for something as important as windows and doors, you can rely on Matthews Brothers, the same company New England has trusted since before the Civil War. You can learn more about their wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumberyards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with 1 T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
Jim Acosta, without a doubt, wins the competition for Trump's least favorite journalist of all time. Let's listen to some of their feistier moments.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine...
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you...
When I raise money... Excuse me. I've watched you on television. You're a real beauty. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN. All right. And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question. Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried...
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, what do you say to your critics who say that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
What do you think? Do you think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons, because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake news.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who do you consider the biggest rhino in the Republican Party?
Probably is Paul Ryan. I wish a Republican were still the speaker, but Paul Ryan was scarcely a Republican. And there was a reason he was Mitt Romney's running mate, because we had a rhino ticket in 2012.
Where did the expression, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" come from?
That comes from the State House. There used to be a state rep who sometimes would talk about atrocities that were happening in crime. And he would get up there and he would say, "How many more, Mr. Speaker? How many more?" And I just picked it up and it became a trademark.
Where's your favorite place to go out to eat in Palm Beach?
My favorite place to go in Palm Beach is probably the Honor Bar, which used to be O-Bar, and you can get a really great hamburger there, and they have a great coffee machine that brews each cup of coffee individually.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
Big breaking news today in Boston out of the U.S. Attorney's Office. A sitting state judge has been indicted, and one of her court officers as well, for obstruction of justice. They let an illegal alien criminal go. There was an ICE agent with a lawful detainer order on him to pick him up so that he could be deported again for the 3rd time. And they prevented the ICE officer from going into the courtroom. Then they turned off the tape recorder in the courtroom, which is required that it be on at all times during court proceedings. And then they escorted the illegal alien out the back door of the courtroom downstairs and let him escape. This guy was charged with felony drug possession, and they wanted him on a fugitive warrant for drunk driving out of Pennsylvania. He was caught later. But this is really big news. We talked earlier in the show to the acting ICE director, Matt Albence, and he said, as far as he knows, this is the first time anyone in any of these sanctuary jurisdictions, which have sprouted up across the country, has been charged with violating federal law by letting these criminals escape back into the communities. So joining us now on the line is Todd Lyons. He is the acting director of the Boston Emergency Removal Office of ICE Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and he's had his hands full. Everybody in Boston and all the other offices too. But it's been a real problem here with the lenient courts, and we just wanted to have him on to see how his reaction to this pretty unexpected news about the arrest and the indictment of the judge. Todd Lyons, how are you feeling today about this? You and your agents in Boston.
Hey, Howie, thanks for having me on. No, everyone in the Boston field office, it's mixed feelings. We're really excited that we have such a good local leader like the U.S. Attorney Andy Lelling that had the courage to bring this case forward. We're excited to the fact that, our hard work is actually seen, the fact that we're actual law enforcement officers and that when someone impedes what we do, they should be held accountable. And it's a sad day, too, that we have, judicial officials and, sworn officers that have to be brought in front of the court and held accountable, when they go against the oath that they took. But overall, it's a great day for us for ERO, for HSI, because this validates that our law enforcement mission is real here in Boston.
I mean, it's outrageous enough that they would ban any citizen from a courtroom, but especially a citizen who's, as you say, a sworn officer who's got a detainer, basically a warrant for this guy's arrest. I mean, it's unbelievable that this could happen in a society of law and order.
Right, and when you think about the Constitution too, how everyone's protected equally, if that was someone, say, from South Boston, from Winthrop, Roxbury, would they be afforded the opportunity to be let out the back door if the Boston police had a warrant for them in the courtroom? No,
absolutely not.
And it's given someone an unfair advantage to the law that we should all be held accountable to. And then not only that, but to go against federal law, which is not something that any administration, whether this one, a previous one, or even in the past, has established, but actual written federal law that's the law of the land across the country, and not be held accountable for it, or not take that into any type of consideration when following the law and procedure. That's just egregious in itself.
Now, this guy's name, this illegal alien from the Dominican Republic, his name is Oscar Manuel Peguero, a.k.a. Jose Medina Perez. Tell us a little something about his rap sheet, if you can, Todd.
Well, he had some previous convictions for DUI. He was previously wanted out of Pennsylvania. He was currently in front of the judge for distribution of cocaine. So this wasn't someone that most of the media nowadays, talking points of the type of individuals like that were breaking up families, or these are the people that are coming to the United States to make a better life for themselves. This was your hardcore criminal that was being brought to justice, not only locally for their local charges for crimes that affect people in Newton and in the Commonwealth, but that have committed a federal felony by being back in the United States again. This is the typical, perfect example of an immigration case that an ERO officer should be there to make an arrest on.
And because my understanding is because of his prior criminal record, he'd been deported twice in 2003, 2007. And an order had been issued that he should not return to the country until 2027, right? But he's back in the country. But he's back in the country, and he's not charged with possession of coke. He's charged with distribution of cocaine. Correct?
Correct. And just by him coming back in the country, he violated 8 U.S.C. 1326, which is a felony in itself for reentering the United States after formal deportation. And he's his own evidence. I mean, if he's there in the courtroom, he's in the United States and he's not supposed to be there. So the judge, or whatever court officer in that presence, that's a felony committed in their presence. That person's committing a federal felony just by being there.
And she's violating rules by keeping anyone, doesn't matter if it's a sworn officer of the law or a U.S. citizen, by keeping them out of the courtroom. She's violating state trial court regulations by turning off the recorder, and then she's obstructing justice by basically letting him go. I mean, it's just it's breathtaking what she did, and she's being defended by people like Maura Healey, the Attorney General of the Commonwealth. This matter could have been appropriately handled by the Commission on Judicial Conduct and the trial court. Would they have handled it appropriately in your view, Todd Lyons?
I don't think so, because the thing that I'm most proud of my folks is that we follow the Massachusetts trial court policies about coming in to make a targeted enforcement arrest. So our guys followed everything by the letter of law. They were there in their sworn law enforcement capacity. So I had no problem with the fact that my folks were there to make that arrest. For anyone else to kind of say that this was a misuse of resources, a miscarriage of justice, it's just plain wrong.
Yeah.
The U.S. attorney, he did what he was sworn to do. It's what we're all sworn to do as law enforcement officers. He's upholding law. No matter what the law is, if you don't like it or not, it's still the federal law. It needs to be upheld.
Todd Lyons, acting director of the ERO Enforcement Removal Unit of the Boston ICE office. We appreciate you being with us, and you guys are doing a good job. And I'm glad you got a little support today from another aspect of the federal government. It's great. It's great news. Thanks for being with us.
I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. Coming up after the break, we'll have Senator Mike Lee from Utah with us. I'm Howie Carr.
Don't touch that dial. Howie Carr will be back after this.
Campers, this is Howie Carr, and I've got to say there is nothing like Destination Cold Springs, the place for everything camping. It started with a camp resort, then came the RV Center and Superstore, and now they have the region's largest state-of-the-art service center and body shop. At Cold Springs RV, the doors are always open so you can casually browse the huge selection of travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, motorhomes, and park models. You should have high expectations when shopping for a new or pre-owned RV. So go meet the team that is ready to listen to you. Cold Springs RV is ready with the best price and a massive selection of RVs on the lot, and the new indoor showroom. The brand new state-of-the-art service center will take care of all makes and models, regardless of where you made the purchase. That includes the RV paint and body shop. Cold Springs RV is also the home of a Woodall's 10-star camp resort. Campers with high expectations go to Destination Cold Springs, Route 114 in Ware, New Hampshire. ColdSpringsRV.com.
Thank you, New England, for supporting Music Drives Us. Since 2006, we have used the power of music to benefit communities throughout the 6 states of New England. During this time, we've proudly supported more than 200 schools and donated upwards of 1,000 instruments. And this year, we're getting ready to donate all over again. Our work is made possible through your continued support of our musical mission. Whether you donated, volunteered at our events, attended our concerts, or engaged with us on social media, thank you. We hope you'll stay tuned with what we have in store for this year, because it'll be our best year yet. Visit us at musicdrivesus.org. That's musicdrivesus.org. Or follow us at Music Drives Us on social. Together, we can keep music in our schools.
Hello, America. Incredibly bad Christopher Walken impersonator here. Matthews Brothers is boring. In a world that's full of excitement and change, they are Dullsville, baby. When the world's talking about cow farts and tofu burgers, Matthews Brothers is talking about wicked awesome windows and doors. When the world is talking about train rides to Maui or biking to Orlando, Matthews Brothers is talking about consistently superior customer service. When the world is talking about tearing down the buildings and putting up new ones, Matthews Brothers is saying, "We did mention we made windows, right? I said they're boring, not stupid." You can learn more about their wicked awesome yet boring Maine-made windows and doors, but only at Better Lumberyards and Window Professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
He is the youngest senator that is going to be running. In his video, he also mentioned he's the only senator that lives in the inner city, and he's an unmarried vegan. So a lot of very unique qualities Cory Booker brings to the table, Kate.
Now, I appreciate the comments of my colleagues. This is about the closest I'll probably ever have in my life to an I am Spartacus moment. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators?
Have you ever had an LGBTQ law clerk?
I've not been a judge, so I don't have any law clerks.
Someone working for you.
I'm to be honest, I don't know the sexual orientation of my staff.
When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about this experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt, tears of rage.
Would you just stop being so dramatic?
I'm a big believer that if this country hasn't broken your heart, then you don't love her enough.
Hey, Howie Nation, did you know you can watch Howie Carr live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube? Well, at least you can for now. Like us, follow us, and subscribe before the Silicon Valley PC police banish Howie to the internet gulag.
844-500-4242. Mike Lee is the senior U.S. Senator from Utah, and he's on the Senate Judiciary Committee. And that's what we want to talk to him about. He's got a new book out. It's called Our Lost Declaration, America's Fight Against Tyranny from King George to the Deep State. And he's written at least one New York Times bestseller, Written Out of History. And he writes about the popular histories about the documents that shaped America and established its traditions of limited government. Thanks for being with us on the show, Senator Lee.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor to be with you.
Thank you. Tell us a little something about your book, and then I want to get on to the. I must say right now I'm more interested in the deep state than I am in King George. But we'll let you push your book a little bit first. Tell us what it's about.
Sure, they're actually closely connected, so we can hit both of them at the same time. Look, I wrote Our Lost Declaration because so many young people today seem to lack a basic understanding of how our country was founded, and I had in mind writing a book that parents and grandparents could get for their children so that they can understand just how long we've fought against tyranny in all of its forms. The deep state is only the latest example of a really big unelected bureaucracy operating many miles, sometimes thousands of miles from the people it governs, trying to control our lives and our choices. We no longer have a king, and we don't sing God Save the Queen. We don't salute the Union Jack, but we have our own form of government overreach in the form of the deep state, in the form of unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats to the tune of thousands or tens of thousands of them who are nameless and faceless and don't work for the people. They can't be fired by the people. And consequently, really end up trampling on our liberties. That's why I wrote Our Lost Declaration.
As you know, Devin Nunes, the House member from California, he was the chairman of the House committee that was doing a lot of work into the deep state's attempt to derail Donald Trump in the 2016 elections. He's now the ranking member. He doesn't control the committee, so most of the congressional investigations have fallen to the Senate side, and specifically to the committee you're a member of, the Senate Judiciary Committee, where Lindsey Graham has succeeded Chuck Grassley as the chairman. What is the Senate? What is the Judiciary Committee doing to try to get a handle on these deep state abuses of power? Which would you agree? You know, people are saying on TV, and I tend to agree, that this is the greatest scandal in American political history. Would you agree?
It is certainly a significant scandal. We've had a lot of scandals, a lot of different varieties and flavors. But this is definitely a doozy, because you have a concerted effort here to delegitimize the 2016 presidential election. You've got people within our government, within the deep state, these unelected, unaccountable bureaucratic class members, who have decided they don't like this president, they don't like how the people chose to elect their president, and so they're just going to try to delegitimize his presidency. That's wrong. We've got to weed that out.
So we're talking to Senator Mike Lee from Utah. And he has a new book out, Our Lost Declaration, America's Fight Against Tyranny from King George to the Deep State. What do you think the Founding Fathers would make of the FISA courts, secret courts, ex parte proceedings, where there's, where the prosecutors have to be trusted to be fair and honest? I mean, I don't think the Founding Fathers would go for the secret courts in a big way, would they?
No, I don't think so. They didn't have the Who back then, but the song "We Won't Get Fooled Again" would probably come to mind if they were familiar with that musical genre. They would look at us and they would say, on the one hand, they're impressed that we're still alive, that we're still intact, that we've prospered, we've remained a country this long, and that we've been as successful as we have. On the other hand, I think they would be the first to observe that many of the freedoms that they fought so hard to protect and defend and restore with the American Revolution are now in jeopardy because of the deep state, because of how much we've entrusted unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats within Washington to run our government.
So what is the Senate Judiciary Committee going to do? I mean, I know they're demanding all kinds of documents from DOJ and the FBI. What are you going to do if they continue the stall?
Well, we do have oversight over them, and we can continue to hold them in front of our committee, and we can continue to expose what they've done as long as they continue to remain non-responsive. I don't think they'll have much choice but to respond and to testify, and the truth is going to come out.
Is Bill Barr more cooperative, the new Attorney General, than Jeff Sessions was, or Rod Rosenstein when he was the acting AG?
But from what I can tell, the Department of Justice has been a little more responsive in the last couple of months, and I think that's a good sign. I think it speaks well of Attorney General Barr. I hope that will continue. I expect it to, because, look, these folks work for the American people, and ultimately they have to stand accountable to those who are elected by the American people to set laws and establish policy throughout the country. They can't continue to disregard us.
Do you think Trump, the president, should cooperate with these House investigations, or should he cite executive privilege and say he's going to go to the Supreme Court if he has to? What would you advise him to do?
Well, I wouldn't say categorically that he shouldn't cooperate with any investigation ever involving Congress, and I don't think that's the position he's taking. But insofar as what they're seeking is covered by privilege, by a privilege of one sort or another, yeah, he should fight them on that. He should be willing to litigate that if necessary, and shouldn't just roll over easily. He shouldn't be any less entitled to these privileges than any other president has been.
What do you think that the Founding Fathers would make of what happened in the 2016 election and the aftermath? I mean, basically, seeking out a man and then trying to pin a crime on him. I mean, I think they would just be totally appalled by what's happened here.
Appalled, yes. In some ways, not surprised. I think that's one thing the founding generation had on us, and that's one of the points that I try to make in our Lost Declaration, is that the Founding Fathers understood human nature. And that's one of the great contributions of the Declaration of Independence, is to explain human nature to us, to understand that government power can be abused, but government is itself a tool of the people. It is a human, mortal creation. And we shouldn't ever attribute to it an omniscience, an omnipotence, or an omnipresence, which we seem to have kind of done in recent years. So this, in some ways, wouldn't surprise them as much as it shocks us today, but that's only because we've come to trust government as an unmitigated good, and we need to turn that around.
I'll speak for yourself on that, but I don't trust it I've never trusted it as an unmitigated good. I just didn't think it was as out of control as it has turned out to be. But you're right. I mean, they had to deal with the depredations of King George and his tyranny or his attempts at tyranny. So they understood better. And I mean, the whole Constitution is, you make sure, as you point out in your books, is all about making sure that there can never be another situation like King George, right? That there are these. That's why we set up these checks and balances, and the deep state is overturning those checks and balances.
It's why we set up the checks and balances, and we understood that one of the problems with the regime of King George III and many of his predecessors was that they allowed our government, our national government, then based in London, to take debatable matters beyond debate. And one of the ways they did it, as I explained in our Lost Declaration, was to rely on what was known as the divine right of kings, the idea that the monarch had the blessing of Almighty God to rule and to reign and deserved to be unquestioned. And to a degree, we as a society have started putting too much faith in government. We shouldn't put faith in government at all. We should be looking for ways to disempower our federal government, especially the deep state.
The divine right. I hadn't thought of that phrase in a long time, but sometimes I see these guys on TV like Clapper and Brennan and Comey, and it seems like they feel they have the divine right of unelected bureaucrats, and it's pretty outrageous. Mike Lee, Senator from Utah, it's very good to talk to you, and I look forward to reading your book, Our Lost Declaration. And give my regards to the junior senator who I used to know back in the day here in Massachusetts.
Will do. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Senator Mike Lee. All right, we come back. We're going to get back to the story of the judge, and we're going to check in with Shauna O'Connell, too. I'm Howie Carr. Are you looking to buy or sell a home in Maine? Then Realtor Bryce Hamilton is the man for the job. For almost 40 years, Bryce has helped thousands of families buy and sell homes all over Maine. My listeners can contact Bryce today for a free, no-obligation analysis of your real estate needs. Call Bryce today at 207-749-2267 or find him online at howiesmainerealestatestar.com. Whether you're looking to buy or sell property in Maine, Bryce Hamilton is the man for the job. howiesmainerealestatestar.com.
Are you looking for a pre-owned car? Well, before you go to the dealership where you'll be pounced on by pushy salespeople, give the Car Guys a try. I'm Bill Papageorge, and my job is to make finding the perfect used car as easy as possible. That means I do all of the tough legwork for you. Once I figure out what you want out of a car, I go find it. I've been in this business for a long time, and I know what to look out for. I won't bring you a car unless I know it will meet or exceed your expectations. So give me a call at 800-300-4600. That is 800-300-4600.
And now, another minute of Madam Speaker, Nancy Pelosi.
But again, don't...
You have these wings, AOC and her group on one side.
That's like 5 people. They would say, play games, and then they'd say, open sesame. Except we don't say sesame, we say open Biden. But no, because we are not. We have the number is growing. We have 91 women. There are 115 women in Congress, 116. 15 are Republican, 91 are Democrats. I happen to be a manifestation of the women power that is coming forth now, but only one manifestation. It was like getting kicked in the back by a mule constantly. It was physical. It was so unbelievable. The Times found Lincoln. Not to be presumptuous to put ourselves in those categories, but the Times have found us.
It feels like you're relying on this tax cut of the corporations, of the wealthy, to trickle down.
Yeah, Southwest and American Airlines both announcing they're going to give $1,000 bonuses to employees following the tax overhaul.
Wage increases don't follow tax cuts like this.
So the world's largest retailer giving its U.S. employees a bonus, a wage increase, and expanded maternity and parental leave.
So you're creating a huge tax cut
Right.
And you might not get wage growth.
Right.
Capital One Financial, which just confirmed to CNBC that they will raise the minimum wage for all U.S.-based employees at Capital One to $15 per hour.
And anybody who thinks that this corporate tax cut is going to trickle down to lift wages has a staggering ignorance of how public companies function.
Wells Fargo said it would raise its minimum wage to $15 per hour.
That the day we cut the corporate tax rate, wages are going to suddenly jump up when there's absolutely no historical evidence whatsoever that this will happen.
Boeing announced $300 million in investments for corporate giving and workplace improvements.
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
And now, some of my favorite fake Indian cuts of all time.
I'm not going to ask you for your favorite curse word. Actually, I am. Do you have a favorite curse word?
Poop.
Poop? Oh, that's a goody two-shoes favorite curse word if I ever heard one.
Are you kidding? Have you ever seen a woman like me look you straight in the face after you finished some long explanation of something and then just said, poop? Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
I am not sure what she's talking about as far as a rally with.
It was a rally in Bern, Oregon, is that you have to figure out who you are. I grew up in a family that was barely hanging on to the ragged edge of the middle class. And my Aunt Bee has walked by that picture at least 1,000 times, remarked that her father, my papa, had high cheekbones like all of the Indians do.
In summary, the president's overall health is excellent. Okay, with that, I'll take some questions.
How much weight have you suggested the president lose?
Can you assess the president's mental fitness for office?
Cholesterol over 220. Do you hope to get it under 200?
Are you ruling out things like early onset Alzheimer's? Are you looking at dementia-like symptoms?
Did he need to be sedated at all? Or he doesn't have heart disease, is that what you said?
The 25th Amendment, a lot of people in the country have been talking about it. Do you believe he is fit for duty?
Sometimes it sounds like he has the sniffles when he's talking. Do you have a life expectancy range for him based on his results? Is he limited to one scoop of ice cream now?
So is there anything you're keeping from us for privacy reasons? Are you confident of his prostate health?
I think a waist measurement for the president. His weight, I think he's at 239, right? I think it's just shy of obesity.
It's recommended that most baby boomers get screened for hepatitis C. Did you do a hep C test, or has he had one previously?
Some of the president's friends have told reporters in the past that they think he's a germaphobe, that he washes his hands obsessively. And have you seen any indication of that type of behavior?
You're listening to the Howie Carr Show. And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Out of all of your books, which is your favorite title and why?
I think my favorite title is Hitman because it's very effective. I thought long and hard about it. We're going to make it Boston Hitman, but then why make it Boston Hitman? Just make it Hitman. Make it a universal subject.
If you could have dinner with one author, dead or alive, who would it be?
I would probably have dinner with William Shakespeare. I know that's a cliche response, but he was the greatest writer in the English language, no question about it.
If you won Mega Millions, would you retire completely?
I used to say no, I would not retire, but yeah, I think I would retire now.
If you had to leave all of your money to one charity, which would it be?
The Salvation Army. I like what the Salvation Army does. I don't think they have too many highly paid executives trying to be social justice warriors. Campers, this is Howie Carr, and I've got to say there is nothing like Destination Cold Springs, the place for everything camping. It started with a camp resort, then came the RV Center and Superstore, and now they have the region's largest state-of-the-art service center and body shop. At Cold Springs RV, the doors are always open so you can casually browse the huge selection of travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, motorhomes, and park models. You should have high expectations when shopping for a new or pre-owned RV. So go meet the team that is ready to listen to you. Cold Springs RV is ready with the best price and a massive selection of RVs on the lot and the new indoor showroom. The brand new state-of-the-art service center will take care of all makes and models, regardless of where you made the purchase. That includes the RV paint and body shop. Cold Springs RV is also the home of a Woodall's 10-star camp resort. Campers with high expectations go to Destination Cold Springs, Route 114 in Ware, New Hampshire, coldspringsrv.com.
We have a lot of laughs at the Howie Carr Show. Here are a few of my favorites. It's 1 minute of the Three Musketeers.
As someone who used to shovel out his car and put a space saver in the space, why should I spend hours shoveling out a space for you?
Exactly.
For you.
Exactly.
The only reason that I don't move space savers like milk cartons and lawn chairs...
Because you'd be murdered.
For the record, just for the record, this
Howie,
is out of...
I got to ask the obvious question. Would you put your life on the line to defend the pugs from
That's
an alligator?
That's what it really was. I think she would have gotten away had she not loved her dog so very much.
No, I would not.
Shocked.
Sorry, Gunnar.
They're just a human being.
It's every mammal for himself.
87% say no.
Okay.
Yeah, they have high hopes.
Better strap yourself in. It's time for the Howie Carr Show.
And that's when we heard the words of the President of the United States that stunned the world and shocked the conscience of this nation. He said there were, quote, some very fine people on both sides. Very fine people on both sides?
Wow. On that uplifting note.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
There have to be consequences for people who rejected asylum seekers who will lawfully trying to present themselves at our international ports of entry with not a penny to their name, fearing for their lives and the lives of their kids. If you come here, petition for asylum, which affords you no guarantee that that petition will be accepted, that you will be able to stay here, but that you at least be allowed to follow that process here on U.S. soil. That's the law, at least as I understand it. I want to make sure that it is followed, and those who defy it are held accountable.
Who's your captain? Howie Carr.
Then measure the values that a country has by how it treats its mamas and its babies. We have failed our mamas, we have failed our babies.
Unchained and unstoppable.
They were playing footsie with the Russians, and that's it. Working with the Russians. They were taking advantage of all the Russian effort to destroy our democracy. And Trump doesn't even get the asterisk. All the time he was guilty. And I'm telling you, a president who broke his oath. Putin, Russians.
You're in stage 2, denial.
Who do you love? Howie Carr.
So you're no longer maintaining that he is effectively a, quote, Russian asset?
No, I think he acts on Russia's behalf, and I challenge him to show me otherwise.
We are at war right now. It is a cyber war. Unfortunately, because our commander-in-chief is compromised, the federal government is asleep at the switch.
Rump swabs, hacks, and moonbats beware. It's Howie Carr.
844-500-4242. Tucker Carlson is off tonight. Tammy Bruce is filling in for him, and I'm scheduled for the top of the show to discuss the indictment of this sitting judge in the Newton District Courthouse. And it's a big story, and we're going to get right back to it. And I had to. I was supposed to be speaking tonight at a group. There's a new group, Mass Taxpayers Best Ally, and this is formerly TANK, the automatic gas tax hike, and this is the group that's going to fight the pending referendum question on the 2020 ballot, which would which would put in an automatic gas tax increase. Now, this was defeated at the polls by the voters in 2014 by a margin of 53 to 47, which is pretty amazing because the anti-tax forces led by then Representative Jeff Deal and others were outspent 30 to 1. But, big oil, big hackorama, they're back for another bite of the apple. They just figure they'll spend more and more money. And this is a very important effort because we've saved, by defeating it in 2014, we've already saved $2 billion as taxpayers. And so this new group, and I'm gonna get to another meeting, and I apologize to everybody who was expecting to see me tonight. I just didn't. I wanted to be on Tucker because this is one of my issues. Judges out of control and coddling of illegal aliens. But I will be at the at future meetings of this group. They're having the meeting tonight, and everyone is invited to go down there. It's from 7 to 9 at the China Moon Restaurant, 170 Main Street in Stoneham, Massachusetts. The China Moon at 170 Main Street in Stoneham. And filling in for me tonight is going to be Representative Shauna O'Connell from Taunton, and she's graciously taking my place, and she was involved in the fight in 2014, so she's joining us on the line now. Shauna, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show.
Hey, Howie, glad to be here, and honored to fill in for you tonight. I'm glad you're going to be on the Tucker Carlson show talking about this and putting all these other judges on notice that you're next.
Exactly. There's so many more I'd like to see taken down. Heffernan let a worse criminal than this one go, but I guess she didn't violate any laws. So but he was a rapist, a Dominican gangbanger rapist. She cut his bail to $2,500, and nobody's seen him since. It's horrible. And Feely letting the Superior Court judge refusing to send an illegal alien fentanyl dealer to prison because he'd be deported. I mean, this is outrageous, and nobody's doing anything.
Saying, Feely saying, he was just working to raise money for his family. That one.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. Well, listen, so tell us about this. Tell us what's going to be going on tonight and why people should turn out, go to the China Moon in Stoneham for this meeting, this organizational meeting.
Yeah, love to see everybody here. It's like deja vu, Howie, a bad dream coming back at us, and we are going to have to fight again. So, the legislature is talking about raising any kind of tax they can get their hands on, and the gas tax is back on the table. And it will be linked to inflation again, so it will go up automatically every year without a vote from the legislature. And like you said, the voters were loud and clear just a few years ago when they said no taxation without representation. So we may have to have this fight again, and we need to let them know that we will have this fight again, and we will pummel them again at the ballot box, just like the voters did a few years ago. So I hope a lot of people can show up and support us. We're going to need a lot of help with this.
Right, and I'll be joining this fight too. I'm sorry again. I apologize for people who thought they were going to see me, but I feel like I had to go on with Tucker Carlson tonight. So and again, you'll be speaking on this issue, and these are just the beginning organizational moves, trying to get everybody lined up. And it's going to take a lot of effort because the taxpayers will be wildly outspent yet again. Shauna, isn't it amazing that every time we, the taxpayers, win, they don't take no for an answer. But if they win, if
like
they
a bad penny, Howie.
But if they win, they say it's settled law, right? And we don't, and we have no right to object because they won.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know, and a lot of people in the legislature are actually in favor of stopping the process to allow the general public to put questions on the ballot. So we have to keep our eye on that too. So we really need to just start building our army right now so that they know that we're coming at them and that this is not something that we're going to tolerate, and we're not going to let them try and do this to us again.
So I look forward to talking with you more about this, Sean. I got to ask you about one question. The budget debate is going on, and but there aren't any more votes, are there? I mean, it's just everything is behind closed doors, room 348. All the decisions are cut, and then they just come out and they have a voice vote. It's just like there is no debate on the budget anymore. It's a pretty sad state of affairs, isn't it, on Beacon Hill right now?
It is, and it's really gone downhill since I got here. We used to fight a lot, have a lot of debate, get up there, and, they just do everything they can to crush it and crush it and crush it so that people don't feel like they can speak up. I mean, you want to talk about workplace bullying. You come and work here.
I heard today that Russell Holmes, who you've worked on with some issues, he's a Democrat from Boston. Yeah. He put in an amendment or some kind of resolution today for a pay equity. He wanted to cut the pay of the legislative leadership. What was that all about?
It was an amendment, and I mean, I actually understand what he's doing. I really like Russell Holmes. He is a good guy, and I have a lot of respect for him. But he was actually going to lower the pay for all of the leadership.
I'm in favor of that.
By a pretty good amount. I can't remember the exact numbers. So lower all their pay, but at the same time, he was going to increase the legislators' pay so there wasn't such a huge disparity between what leadership makes and what legislators make. And, of course, I can't sit here and vote for a pay raise for myself. I would have happily voted for a pay decrease
right.
for, everybody else.
Yeah, you should have filed an amendment to the amendment, Shauna,
Yeah, no kidding. So anyway, that did not happen, but I thought it was pretty brave of Russell to bring that up and talk about that and try to do that.
What does the speaker make now? Like $170,000?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's up there. I mean, the stipends that leadership get, and then they just keep handing them out. And Russell's point was pretty clear that's what gives them control over the legislature. And when they, implemented those pay raises a couple of years ago and passed those huge pay raises for themselves, they created even more chairmanship and more paid positions so that they have even more people under their thumb.
Yeah, I know. And this started with Finneran. He started giving everybody pay raises, the division vote counters.
I mean, just joke that is.
I know it's ridiculous, but it gives him control because if you step out of line, he can take away that 20 or 30 grand, whatever it is, whether it's Finneran or DeMacy or now DeLeo. And they do. They take it. Yeah. And so now you've cut the size of the House from 240 to 160. Everybody's got an office, and it's what was supposed to be an improvement in the legislature has made it unimaginably worse and more easy to control by a single leader or a despot, whatever you want to call him. And yeah. And how many people don't get a stipend? It's only a handful. I think you're one of them, Shauna, aren't you? And maybe Russell Holmes.
Yeah, Russell and I are kind of on the outs. I don't know the number. That'd be interesting. I'll bet you Russell knows it because that'd be really interesting to know. But there's 160 of us, and it is a pretty large number that do get a stipend. I mean, there's chair and vice chair and assistant vice chair and division leader, which is a made up nothing thing that they don't do anything, and they just keep handing them up. They created new committees. So now that they could hand out extra chairmanships, we now have a permanent committee for redistricting, which only happens every 10 years.
Oh, wow. They used to have a committee on, they still have the committee on counties, which handles dog legislation. They probably do. No, the counties committee is gone, huh? All right.
I'm sure they replaced it with something just as useless, though.
Right, like the redistricting committee. Okay, so Shauna, where are you going to be tonight talking about the stopping the referendum, stopping the increase, the automatic gas tax increase? Tell us where you're going to be.
Oh, is it the China Moon? I'm sorry, my screen just went blank.
Yeah, the
China Moon in Stoneham.
Stoneham, 170 Main Street. The meeting will be from 7 to 9, and it's an organizational meeting for the forces to oppose the automatic gas tax increase. And again, this is very important to everybody's pocketbook. We've already saved over $2 billion by defeating it in 2014, and that's why the hacks are back for another bite of the apple. And I will be at the next. I guarantee you, I will be at the next meeting. But Shauna will be filling in for me tonight. And thank you for doing this, Shauna. I appreciate it.
Oh, you got it, Howie. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And we're going to come back and start talking about the judge. And I promise we're going to talk about the judge. I'm getting some heat here on the text line, Steve. We have other things to deal with here tonight, but we'll be right back. 844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
The Howie Carr Show.
This half hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you by McNamara and Associates. If you need a lawyer, you need to call Frank McNamara. Call Frank today, 978-333-9899. 978-333-9608. That's 978-333-9608. Hi, this is Howie Carr. I'm here with Paul, one of our listeners from Fremont, New Hampshire. Paul went to visit Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. He saw Dr. Houghton. Tell us what Dr. Houghton and Perfect Smiles did for you, Paul.
I always had closed lip smile. Never smiled. I had nothing to smile about with the teeth I had. Dr. Houghton was able to put together the design for my teeth that are absolutely stunning.
With a Perfect Smile, how's your life changed, Paul?
I've become more of a happy person. It's just an amazing transformation.
How's Dr. Houghton different than earlier dentists you went to?
I've gone back to my general dentist. They have commented that they have not seen work this good, and they have other clients that would benefit from the work that Dr. Houghton does.
This summer, do something for yourself. Call Perfect Smiles. 603-595-6699. That's 603-595-6699. Dr. Houghton could do for you what he did for Paul.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
Who was your favorite actor?
Humphrey Bogart, no doubt about it. I love all the old Humphrey Bogart movies. Jimmy Cagney would be a close second.
Do you have a celebrity crush?
No celebrity crushes.
Ginger or Marianne?
I always was a Marianne person. Never was bowled over by that Hollywood look. Plus, Ginger was in more revealing attire, scantily clad.
Salty or sweet?
Neither, but if I have to pick, I'll go with sweet.
Movies or TV?
TV.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's, although I'd prefer Five Guys.
Facebook or Twitter?
Definitely Twitter. I hate Facebook.
Cake or pie?
I'm a cake guy.
Coke or Pepsi?
Diet Coke.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee, obviously.
Winter or summer?
Summer! Good Lord. Why would you want winter? It's cold and it's dark.
April is here and it's time for vacations. But what about a Bankscation? At Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC, we're making every day in April relaxing with great deals that will take you away. Look for the beach ball tags for special savings. Go see over 2,000 new and pre-owned vehicles in stock, all in one convenient location. You'd have to test drive over 70 different cars and trucks every day just to see them all. At Banks in Concord, shopping for a vehicle is as relaxing as a day at the beach. You'll find the lowest, most transparent pricing and a friendly, no-pressure staff. Right now, GM truck lessees can get up to $16,000 off all 2018 Denali's in stock with 0% financing for up to 84 months while supplies last. Must finance with GM Financial. See more April Bankscations offers online at banksautos.com. Our full-service internet department can help you take care of the details before you even walk through the door. Bank Chevrolet Buick GMC in Concord, New Hampshire. Real prices, huge inventory, always in stock. GMC, we are professional grade.
And now, 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
It is a bill that is much needed for our farmers and ranchers. I think there are only 47 votes against it in the House of Representatives. The American people should know the source of it. Again, we are engaged in the year-end continuing resolution, Homeland Security. I'm not sure. No, I haven't spoken to him since he called the other day, which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable. And I talked to Chuck last night to say, we haven't had an answer. There are other things that are going on that are newsworthy, and I think you'd have more viewers or readers if people address concerns that people have. The list goes on about the
Did you miss a live broadcast of the Howie Carr Show? Well, worry not. Every minute of the Howie Carr's brilliantly bodacious banter is available for free for your listening pleasure on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify.
For the ultimate breakfast bundle, sign up today at butcherbox.com/Howie and get 2 packs of delicious bacon and 2 pounds of custom breakfast sausage plus $20 off your first box. butcherbox.com/Howie. Steve, what is the poll question? What are the results thus far?
Do you like hot dogs?
No, I don't. I like Butcher Box. I just had some of the flank steak left over from a couple days ago. Still delicious.
91% of your audience says yes, they love hot dogs, Howie.
All right. Okay. To each his own.
Do we see Honest Howie's hot dogs coming in the future?
I don't think so. Honest Howie's Butcher Box meats, sausage, bacon, roast pork, that kind of stuff, but no hot dogs. No all beef frankfurters either. 844-500-4242. People want to talk about this. I guess I hope by now everybody knows what's happened. The announcement was made at 12:45 this afternoon. A sitting judge, district court judge, Shelley Joseph, a Tal Duval appointee in 2017, was indicted today for charged with obstruction of justice. She basically let an illegal alien, Dominican drug dealer, drunk driver, twice deported, out of the courtroom, even though there was an ICE agent outside with a detainer to get the guy thrown out of the country again. And she and a court officer conspired, allegedly, according to the indictment, with the defense attorney, a public defender, naturally, since it was an illegal alien drug dealer from the Dominican Republic, to let this guy out. What is it? I mean, what do they think? How is the society benefiting? I mean, it's not like this guy was going back to Harvard Medical School to work on a cure for diabetes or cancer. This guy is a career criminal, and they let him go. And as Todd Lyons was saying, they wouldn't have let an American go if there was if an American was in on drug charges in the Newton District Court and there was a police officer from Boston with a warrant for his arrest in Suffolk County, they wouldn't let him out the back door. But they let this illegal alien out. It's insane. And I'm so happy that the U.S. Attorney in Massachusetts for the Eastern District, Andrew Lelling, has gone after this judge. And she's been suspended without pay. We invited Tal Duval to come on the show today and explain why they decided to pick this woman, a Democrat, a career Democrat, member of the Democrat State Committee, employee at one time of Mark Pacheco, the hack senator from Taunton, Sean O'Connell's hometown, and also Attorneys General Luther Scott Harshbarger and Tom Riley.
Hey, by the way, since we're talking about Tal Duval, have you apologized yet for your role in electing him? Because without Howie Carr, I don't think you have Governor Charlie Baker.
We all make mistakes. That's all I can say. At least I think I'm going to take credit for the fact that William Weinreb is not the U.S. Attorney, because William Weinreb of Newton would not have gone after Judge Shelley Joseph of the Newton District Courthouse. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that.
All right, that's fair.
Mark, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Mark. I'm not saying I got Lelling in there, but I think I stopped Weinreb. That's all I can take credit for. I don't want to overstate my accomplishments. Mark, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Mark.
Hi, Howie. How you doing?
Good.
Oh, great. Hey, I just wanted to mention this court officer who got indicted as well. I mean, you got a feel for this guy. What if he? I know he did something wrong, but if he ever went against this judge, the guy would have been buried.
I understand, Mark, but when you go in, when you get a subpoena to go in before the grand jury, and they have the audio tape of the actual court hearings, and you go in and you lie about it, what are they supposed to do? They've charged him with perjury.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know he was charged with perjury. But...
Right. Okay. No, they actually have
one other thing. Liz Warren makes me nauseous every time she opens her mouth. So
that makes millions of us, Mark. You and me and millions more Americans agree that she's a nauseating person. Thanks for the call. Josephine, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Josephine.
Hi, Howie.
Hi.
I believe that the DOJ lawyer should get the Medal of Freedom, and he should get a raise and a promotion, and I'm going to call the White House to tell him so.
Thank you. I'm gonna try to point out on Tucker tonight, because I know the president watches it sometime, that this is part of winning the elections. A lot of people don't think too often about who the U.S. attorney is, but it does make a lot of difference, as we've seen here. I even wonder if Weinreb or whoever would have taken over if Hillary Clinton had been elected. Do you think they would have gone after the college admission scandal the way he did? I mean,
of course not.
Yeah.
What's his name so I get it right when I call the White House?
Andrew Lelling. That's Lelling. Andrew Lelling. And I'll read some of his statements from his press release today when we come back, and we'll take more calls on this It's unprecedented what's happened today. This is the first time anyone at a sanctuary city has been brought before the bar of justice. I'm Howie Carr.
Hello, America. Incredibly bad Christopher Walken impersonator here. Before, Neil Armstrong planted the Stars and Stripes on the Sea of Tranquility. Before, our greatest generation rescued freedom in World War II. Before, the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression. Before, we sent our doughboys over there in the war to end all wars. Before, the first musket ball flew in the Civil War, the brothers Matthews were making windows in Belfast, Maine. Over the past 165 years, my friends at Matthews Brothers have seen some wacky stuff come out of Washington. They always say, "Who cares? We're here to make wicked awesome windows." I guess after a while, you kind of get used to it. As the boys used to say at the Lincoln Douglas debates, welcome to the monkey house. You can learn more about their wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at better lumberyards and window professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
That plan is a campaign to make America white again.
And is literally a love letter to white supremacists.
Effort to keep America white again.
When someone uses the phrase change migration, it is intentional, literally trying to demonize families and make it a racist slur. It is not right.
African Americans believe that they migrated to America in chains. And when you speak about chain migration, it hurts them personally.
The great divider who injects hatred between groups in America.
To continue to push extremist views on immigration.
Really a shameful practice of holding 800,000 children hostage.
We continue to hold each of those programs hostage.
And says whether you should hold these kids hostage.
When they took the Dreamers hostage, you knew you were going to have to pay a ransom.
She should have been in the same way, as opposed to just doing her job. Well, we know what happened in Europe when people just did their job.
Contrary to popular belief, estate plans are not just for the rich and famous, and poor planning could cause expensive nightmares for you and your loved ones. Hi, I'm Joe Ruffino, Director of Research and Portfolio Manager at Goodman Advisory Group. Proper estate planning could maximize the value of what you'll pass on to your heirs. Poor or no planning could lead to loved ones accidentally cut out of their inheritances, paying large unnecessary tax bills, and could saddle the family with head-scratching legal battles. That's why the Goodman Advisory Group is offering a free report entitled Estate Planning Nightmares, 13 Critical Mistakes and How to Avoid Them. In this report, you'll learn how to avoid the devastating consequences that could occur if you fail to properly plan for what happens when you die. Call now for your free no-obligation report. Call 800-267-6500. That's 800-267-6500. 800-267-6500.
Securities offered through LPL Financial. Member, FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through Goodman Advisory Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor separate from LPL Financial. Brace yourself, guys. Here is 1 minute of Nancy Pelosi.
I myself have always been for lowering the voting age to 16. I think it's really important to capture kids when they're in high school. Which was a very amicable conversation. Amiable, I guess you would say, not amicable.
That they wanted their voices to be heard.
I don't think our colleague is anti-Semitic. I think she has a different experience in the use of words. That's not the total package, but there are some of the major points of discussion, I would hope, from sea to shining sea, because they are not getting paid 163 Republicans voted no. Wisdom from the kitchen of the Willard Hotel, yes, ma'am. The president either doesn't know what he's talking about or doesn't want to know what he's talking about.
And now, an interview with the Emperor of Hate, Howie Carr.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self advice, what would you say?
Get a state job, because behind the job comes the pension.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Most advice is pretty forgettable.
What's the best money you've ever spent?
the investment I made to leave the corporate radio prison I was in. The worst people I ever worked for, no doubt about it. I'd probably be dead if I were still working for them.
If you were on a deserted island and you could only bring 3 things, what would you bring?
A radio, a Wi-Fi system, obviously, and a computer, and I would bring some books. Don't ask me which books, too hard a question.
What was your dad's job when you were growing up?
My dad worked as a resort hotel manager. He worked in Florida at the Breakers in the winter, and then he worked at the Mountain View House, as it was called then, in Whitefield, New Hampshire, and various other places.
Live from the Matthews Brothers Studios.
844-500-4242. We have a good book deal right now. I got both of my Kennedy Babylon volumes, 1 and 2, A Century of Scandal and Depravity. This is about 600 pages of dirt on the Kennedys, including pictures you've never seen. Some pictures, as Steve says, you might never want to see again, but you'll never be able to forget them once you've seen them.
Those pictures of Ted Kennedy might make your wife jealous.
But anyway, these are $40 worth of books, and we're selling them to right now, autographed for $9.99. Oh, this deal only lasts through midnight tomorrow night, so $9.99 for the 2 Kennedy Babylon books. It's a hell of a deal. 844-500-4242. We're talking about the indictment of the judge in the Newton District Court, Shelley Joseph, member of the Democrat State Committee, hack Democrat code holder, appointee of Governor Tal Duvall in November of 2017. And she let this illegal alien go. She's now accused of obstruction of justice. Her court officer, Wellesley McGregor, she's 51. McGregor is 56. He's from Watertown. She lives in Natick. She used to live in Brookline. Wellesley McGregor is charged, in addition to obstruction of justice, with perjury because they brought him before the grand jury and he lied, obviously lied. So this is what, before we go back to the phone lines, 844-500-4242, this is what Andrew Lelling said today at the press conference and in his statement that they released to the press. This case is about the rule of law. The allegations in today's indictment involve obstruction by a sitting judge, that is, intentional interference with the enforcement of federal law, and that is a crime. We cannot pick and choose the federal laws we follow or use our personal views to justify violating the law. Everyone in the justice system, not just judges, but law enforcement officers, prosecutors, and defense counsel, should be held to a higher standard. The people of Massachusetts expect that, just as they expect judges to be fair, impartial, and follow the law themselves. That's very well put. 844-500-4242. This is what Mara Healy said. Today's indictment is a radical and politically motivated attack on our state and the independence of our courts. It's radical, apparently, to Mara Healy to expect judges to follow the same laws that the rest of us are expected to follow.
We actually have a little bit of audio of Mara Healy.
Okay, go ahead. Play it. Anthony, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yes, Howie, how are you?
Good.
Good, yeah. Howie, this judge, they should take her license away to practice. This is getting ridiculous because she's not the only one. There's other judges that are doing the same thing. And the people are getting sick and tired of this. They're getting sick and tired. I mean, you're hearing women that are getting raped, and they catch these guys, they go to court, and they probably put them in jail for a few days, maybe a week or 2 or a month, then they let them out because they have no money, and, and they just let them out, and these guys commit the same crimes over and over again. And I'm going to tell you something. The people are going to get sick and tired of this because if these judges don't carry out the law like they're supposed to and lock them up like they do to you and I, if we did something like that.
I know.
Okay?
I know. That's what.
You know what's going to happen? You're going to have vigilantism. I hate to say this, but the families of the loved ones that were abused by these illegal immigrants, they're going to take the law into their own hands. It's vigilantism is going to come back.
We don't encourage
like the old Charles Bronson movie.
I know that Death Wish. We don't encourage that, obviously, Anthony. But people are fed up with this. I mentioned earlier Heffernan, the other judge in the Newton District Court, let this Dominican gangbanger go who raped a drunken BC college student when he was driving for Uber. How about the case down in Weymouth? Or there was an African Uber driver or Lyft driver, one of those groups, one of those companies. And he picked up a drunk woman, and this was in Weymouth or Braintree, and he raped her, and they brought him up before court in Quincy, and ICE was trying to catch the guy. He was an illegal alien from Ghana, I believe. And they just kind of like shuffled him around between the clerk and the judge and the sheriff. At the time was Bellotti, and everyone was blaming each other, but he got away. They didn't help ICE pick him up, and he escaped. He's gone too, just like the Dominican in Newton. And you have the guy in Essex County, that Feely, a heroin dealer, and as Shauna said, the Feely said, well, you're just trying to support your family as an illegal Dominican heroin dealer, fentanyl dealer, and so I'm going to give you a suspended sentence. A heroin dealer gets a suspended sentence because otherwise he would be deported. You got the judge out in Springfield who gives the fraudster, the Dominican fraudster who's running a food stamp scam, $40,000. She says, this is a couple of years ago, if you weren't American, I'd send you to prison. But if I sent you to prison, Mr. Dominican welfare fraudster, you'd be deported. So I'm going to give you a suspended sentence. I mean, what the hell's going on here? Why do these judges want to keep these people in the country? These are criminals. They're not adding anything to our society. The judges should be happy to turn them over to ICE so they can be deported. It's better for their fellow illegal aliens if you take these illegal alien violent criminals in many cases or drunk drivers off the street. Do the judges think that they're not going to get hit by these drunk drivers, these drunk driving illegal aliens if they let them go? I don't think so. Jack, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Jack.
Yes, Howie, how are you today?
Good.
My point of view is just get rid of these hack judges. The judges should be elected.
I agree.
Guys like too tall to wall and wouldn't be able to appoint these hacks.
I know, but they're never going to allow that. There was a police chief in Holyoke who wanted every year he would file legislation to elect judges because he was from South Carolina and that's the way they do it in South Carolina. And you know what? It never got out of committee, Jack. And it
never will. No.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a little older than you, Howie. I can remember back in the day talking about Holyoke where they came up with a thing on the ballot to cut the legislature time in half and make them all be part-time guys. But you know what? It was passed, and some judge threw it out. I wonder why.
Yeah.
That's all.
I know.
They're bigger hacks than the guys they let go, for crying out loud.
Thanks for the call, Jack. Yeah, you know what I always say about the Massachusetts judiciary? It's some of them are good, but it's that 98% of them that give the rest of them a bad name. And this is another example of it tonight. This Shelley Joseph, just a terrible, terrible, lawless judge. I was going to call her a rogue, but she's more like the rogues are the ones who aren't rogues. Thanks for the call, Jack. Bob, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Bob.
Howie, I may need the voice changer for this call.
Sure. Okay. The witness protection program of the Howie Carr Show. Once we turn on the voice changer, no one will be able to recognize your voice, just as you can't recognize my voice now. Go ahead, Bob.
Right. So I live near Maura Healy's summer house in Comet, Mass. And a little over 2 years ago, he affected the assault weapon ban again. Mm-hmm. And I sent her a note on a cocktail napkin about how I supported the Second Amendment. And along with that cocktail napkin, I sent her a shot of Bullet bourbon.
Did she drink it down, Bob, or not?
I don't know, but the waitress was a friend of mine's daughter, and she said that she came back and she said that Healy was quite confused, and her armed state police detail was also confused.
I don't know about the state police detail, but I get the feeling Maher is confused on almost a daily basis. It's amazing, though, isn't it, that she does have this tendency to want to grab guns away from law-abiding U.S. citizens. But she doesn't have any problem whatsoever with illegal aliens, criminals, coke dealers, alleged coke dealers, drunk drivers being released out the back door when there's an ICE agent who's been banned from the courtroom with a detainer to get these people out of the country. Dan from DEA says Andrew Lelling is an outstanding U.S. attorney. He was well liked by all DEA agents when he was assigned to the drug unit. Hey, has anyone in the last month or 2 months done any more than him out of the 98 U.S. attorneys across the country? I mean, the Varsity Blues scandal and now this. This is pretty big news. Rich, you're next with Howie Carr. Go ahead, Rich.
How are you, Howie? Couple quick questions. The incident that she was charged on happened when? I've been listening to you all day. I didn't get that. I missed that information.
I think it happened in March, didn't it? I think it happened in March.
Okay.
Oh, the investigation was opened in December, I believe.
Yeah. Oh no, you're talking about the U.S. Attorney's investigation. Yeah, there was a story in the paper, and the investigation began in December, but the case was actually, the guy was arrested in March, and he came before the judge in April of 2018.
Okay. All right. So I'm just thinking now that this, hopefully, our U.S. attorney will be watching the Suffolk County DA with a little more relish, because he has done this in this court. The Suffolk County DA has said, anyone who is working with ICE, if they are in that building, she is to be notified.
Right.
That means, to me, that just opens. If she's smart, which I think she is, she may want to change that page of her memo. Right.
Well, we had Todd Lyons on when that memorandum came out from the new district attorney of Suffolk County, Rachel Rollins. And he said that according to the guidelines of the mass trial court, the ICE agents, when they come into the courthouse, there's security now at every door for obvious reasons. They have to identify themselves to the security, the security at the courthouse, and they can't sneak into the courthouse with they have badges and guns which are metal. They couldn't get them through the security even if they wanted to. So it's not, she doesn't need to be notified, and she said, when she was on the show here, the DA said, well, they can make the arrest in the basement. In the base, what does it matter if it's on the basement or the first floor, And then she kept saying, well, why can't they just go, a quarter mile or a mile? She said she said both of them at different times in the interview, and just make the arrest there. Well, you know why? Because they might have a weapon in the car. Or if they go back to their apartment or their house in Chelsea or Lynn or Everett, wherever East Boston, wherever they live, they might have some firearms behind the door. I mean, it's a lot easier to take these people down in a courthouse because they've had to go through the security. I mean, they have a lot more rights than American citizens, but everybody who goes through the courthouse door has got to go through that security metal detector. 844-500-4242. Thanks for the call, Rich. We'll take some more calls when we come back. Orion Metal Exchange is the only precious metals exchange that I trust. Check out their website, orionmetalexchange.com. Then give them a call to get a free no-obligation report about protecting your future with an enduring investment in gold and silver. Yeah, I know the stock market is booming, but just ask yourself, how long can that last? Remember 2009? Financial advisors everywhere recommend you hold precious metals as a hedge against inflation in the volatile stock market. And in my opinion, there's never been a better time to buy precious metals, especially silver. Don't procrastinate. Hedge your bets. If you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain by calling Orion Metal Exchange, call them today at 800-912-2300. Orion experts are standing by to help you purchase physical gold and silver or add precious metals to your retirement accounts. And with Orion, you'll get more metal for your money. Call 800 800-912-2300. That's 800-912-2300. Or visit them online at orionmetalexchange.com. That's spelled ORION. We'll be right back. I'm Howie Carr.
You can call him Fat Boy, just don't call him late for dinner. It's Howie Carr.
This half hour of the Howie Carr Show is brought to you by Perfect Smiles. If you're unhappy with your smile, you need to do what I did and visit Dr. Bruce Houghton in Nashua. Call 1-844-PERFECT-SMILE or visit perfectsmiles.com.
So the cloud hanging over Donald Trump as he becomes president of the United States, especially when it comes to foreign policy, has to do with Russia. Obviously, a lot of unanswered questions.
More now on the cloud that seems to be hanging over the Trump administration.
That cloud hanging over the administration, continued questions.
Because this has been the cloud hanging over the Trump administration.
There's more breaking news on the cloud of suspicion hanging over this White House.
The Russia cloud hanging over the Trump administration.
And the Russia cloud doesn't appear to be moving out of Washington.
Now to that other dark cloud hanging over the Trump administration, the Russia investigations.
The Russia probe is the dark cloud on the horizon.
If Bob Mueller and this cloud of the Russia investigation.
But with the dark cloud of the Russia investigation hanging over him.
And it's been this cloud that's been hanging over the presidency of Donald Trump.
But hanging over it all, the darkening cloud.
President Trump is really eager to get the cloud of Russia that's hanging over the White House away from him.
Hello, America. Incredibly bad Christopher Walken impersonator here. Before, Neil Armstrong planted the Stars and Stripes on the Sea of Tranquility. Before, our greatest generation rescued freedom in World War II. Before, the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression. Before, we sent our doughboys over there in the war to end all wars. Before, the first musket ball flew in the Civil War, the brothers Matthews were making windows in Belfast, Maine. Over the past 165 years, my friends at Matthews Brothers have seen some wacky stuff come out of Washington. They always say, "Who cares? We're here to make wicked awesome windows." I guess, after a while, you kind of get used to it. As the boys used to say at the Lincoln Douglas debates, welcome to the Monkey House. You can learn more about their wicked awesome Maine-made windows and doors, but only at better lumberyards and window professionals, or on the web at MatthewsBrothers.com. Matthews Brothers with one T, America's oldest window manufacturer.
The Moonbats always say Donald Trump isn't very bright. But what about Barack Hussein Obama? Let's listen to some of his greatest hits.
I've now been in 57 states. I think one left to go. I don't know what the term is in Austrian.
The Cambridge police acted stupidly.
And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton.
There are neighborhoods around the country where it is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book.
I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
If we fall for, a bunch of okey doke.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia, not Al Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back.
For Howie Carr, talk radio is just like riding a bicycle. Oh, wait a minute, that's a bad metaphor. Just listen to Howie Carr weekdays from 3 to 7 p.m. or watch him online at HowieCarrshow.com.
(844-500-4242). Sheriff Tom Hodgson is one of the people who is committed to enforcing the immigration law. He often goes down to visit the White House with the National Sheriff's Association, and he's been down to visit the border. He issued a statement. I applaud U.S. Attorney Andrew Lelling for taking action by bringing an indictment against Judge Shelley M. Richmond Joseph, who is alleged to have assisted a criminal illegal alien evade our federal law enforcement officers. This alleged conduct of the judge is a direct violation of her oath to uphold the law and protect the citizens of Massachusetts. No judge, mayor, or other official has the right to violate our laws by attempting to harbor or conceal someone from the enforcement efforts of our local, state, and federal law enforcement partners. Amen, Sheriff Hodgson. Blatant attempts to provide sanctuary to lawbreakers not only erodes our expectation of equal protection under the law, but also exposes the law-abiding citizens and legal immigrants who we are sworn to protect to greater threats of danger. Again, amen. I don't see how it makes the community safer. They trust law enforcement if we let the criminal illegal aliens go back and continue committing crimes against them. I don't understand that. But that's the Democrat mantra right now. Upholding and enforcing our nation's laws is essential to preserving a safe and secure America. 844-500-4242. I'll be on Tucker Carlson's show at the top of the show at 8 o'clock tonight. I'm driving over to Newton afterwards, and so you can see me then. So Representative Holmes of Boston offered the pay equity amendment this afternoon. It didn't get anywhere. So he would get his pay equity amendment. It would adjust the speaker's salary down from the extra $80,000 to $50,000. I love that. Usually politicians only use the word adjust when they're talking about a pay raise. Holmes has turned it around. He's talking about a $30,000 pay cut for the Speaker of the House, the unindicted co-conspirator Robert DeLeo, and he's calling it an adjustment. Ways and Means from $65,000 to $35,000. So there are $30,000 pay cuts for all the leaders of the legislature, and every other person in the building, meaning all the state reps, like himself and Shauna O'Connell, would get an extra $15,000 stipend. Okay, so that's what he's talking about. The chairs, their committee chairs would still get. In D.C., everyone gets paid the same except for three people. The House and the Senate get paid the same. There are 535 of them. Let's see. We have the fifth highest legislative salary in the country. A new salary for each one of us. I have the number. It's on the back of an envelope here, and I don't see the envelope. That's what always happens when you do back of the envelope numbers, right? The average rep gets $66,256, plus he'd get the $15,000 stipend, and then et cetera, et cetera. So he didn't get any votes. He did get a vote. You know what the vote was? 151-5. Not to cut the salary of the Speaker of the House. 151-5. So that answers the question that I asked Shauna O'Connell. How many state reps aren't getting the more than the basic minimum pay? So it must be 5, Steve. Only five people. Everybody else was either getting the big money or was worried about having their pay cut if they voted the wrong way. We should mention who voted for this. Holmes, Kearney, I don't even know who Kearney is, Angelo Sciascia from Hyde Park, Dooley, he's a Republican, and I believe Durant is a Republican. So you had 3 Democrats and 2 Republicans voting for it, 151-5 not to stop the pay cuts. That goes to show, what the power is. Alan Sisitsky, the old state senator from Springfield, used to say most of these people you could buy for a water cooler. So if you can buy them for a water cooler, imagine what a stipend of $35,000 or $50,000 will buy. 844-500-4242. We'll be back tomorrow. Watch me tonight on Tucker at 8. I'm Howie Carr. Would you like an extra $500 a month? That's how much 1 million families have saved by ditching Obamacare for health sharing. Health sharing is the smart, affordable way to get the coverage you need without losing minimum essential coverage required by Massachusetts and federal law. Take back control of your health care with health sharing. Call 800-741-6197. That's 800-741-6197. The Healthcare Solutions team is standing by. Call 800-741-6197.
Hey, business owners and marketing professionals, would you like to advertise on the Howie Carr Radio Network? Howie's show reaches all across New England. And you know who's listening? Your next customer, client, or business lead. If you're interested in advertising on the Howie Carr Show, call John at 800-227-7300. That's 800-227-7300. You're listening to Howie, and so is your next customer. Call John, 800-227-7300 right now.
There are plenty of differences between Trump and the Democrats running for 2020, but the main one is Trump's pretty funny. Take a listen.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life, okay? It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. Other countries, big countries, India and others, we had to pay because they considered them a growing country. They were a growing country. I said, what are we?